to another edition of the Posecast, powered by basketballnews.com. My name is Jameson Wells, your host, alongside three-time champion, James Posey. Pose, what's good?
What's good, J-Mo?
Not much, all is well. Today, we're joined by a special guest that was a three-time NBA All-Star, champion, NBA champion, creator of the shimmy, and one of the original straight stretch fours. Also, he is the best athlete out of Mount Carmel High School, regardless of what Donovan McNabb has to say. Welcome to the show, Antoine Walker. Antoine, what's good?
What's good? Thanks for having me on the show, fellas. I appreciate it.
Hey, Boogie, what's good, man?
Man, not much, baby. Enjoying life, baby. Trying to get through this pandemic.
Right. Ain't we all? I see you got that 8 in the background, looking good, boy.
Oh yeah, you know I'm gonna definitely have that, man. You know that's second home, Post. You know about Boston. Second home there, baby.
Already. Yeah, it is. Hey, so listen, where did your love of the game come from?
Oh shit. But I came from like 6 years old, man. I wouldn't just say it was strictly basketball. I think it was love for sports. You know, just with, growing up in in humble beginnings, you just try to do anything to kind of keep yourself out of trouble. So I played baseball, football, basketball, and tried all three sports until you get good at one of them. And I did that for probably till I was 12 or 13. But I was like one of those things that was unique about me. I was one of those kids that was tall for his age. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of like, as I was continuing growing. So I went to high school 6'4", you know what I mean? So I went to high school tall. So that's kind of when it was like, okay, it's time to stop playing baseball, trying to play football. It's time to lock in on basketball now. So I would say my love just came growing up from about between 6 to 14. And then after 14, it took off. Once I got to high school, I just zoned in and locked in and focused strictly on basketball.
So, Chi-Town, y'all got a lot of talent in the Chi. So growing up, who were your influences? Could you talk about that? Then also, like I said, Chi got that talent. What other players were you impressed with?
Chicago was weird because I don't know how every state was. I don't know how it was for you, but we covered high school basketball at a very young age. So you was getting ranked as like a fifth grader, how good you were. So it was weird because you knew like who the best players was. But for me growing up, it would be DeMarcus Aguirre's, Isaiah Thomas. Those guys really stood out. And then it's like a bunch of guys that didn't ever really make it. The Jamie Brandons, Marcus Liberties, guys that were like kind of landmarks in Chicago. Ben Wilson, I'm sure you heard the Ben Wilson story. So those were guys when I was growing up, I kind of like watched and wanted to be like and emulate. So it's the history is there, but what makes Chicago special is that it got covered at such a young age. Like I was the best 8th grader, but how you judge an 8th grader? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like one of those type of things that, when you grow up in Chicago, they put so much pressure on you to be good, which is good. It makes it really, really competitive.
Now, Twan, you're from Chicago, one of the best hotbeds in the country. You got Chicago, LA, DC, Seattle area, of course, New York, New Jersey. Where do you rank Chicago amongst all the other hotbeds in the country?
Well, I would be biased back in the day and just say Chicago, which I thought we were. When I was probably in the prime of my career, we probably had 20, 30 pros current playing in the NBA. I think the talent levels went down a lot, but I still put us in that top 4. Depending how you want to shake the order up. From New York, Seattle's came on strong over the last 10 years with their ball players. Obviously California, but we used to be strong, and we used to have the reputation of having some of the best basketball in the world. So I grew up in that era where those guys, when we were 25, 30, and Post got some of that summer league run when we used to play in that summer league and pick up ball. Well, I mean, you lose the game.
Chip too. Hey, I got a chip now. My first summer league, I got a chip on my team now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I remember playing pickup ball in Chicago. You lose that first game, you might not get back on the court for 2 games. You know what I'm saying? It was that much talent floating around Chicago. So I'm always going to be biased that Chicago's best, but I would say, we fell off a little bit over the last couple of years, but for the mainstay, we're definitely in the top 4. With some other cities that have came up, but we in the meat and potatoes of it.
Now, Antoine, a lot of guys that are really great players from Chicago, they don't stay at home. Obviously, you went to Kentucky. Anthony Davis went to Kentucky. Dwayne Wade went to Marquette. Why aren't guys staying home to go to college? Because you guys get a lot of talent, but why are guys leaving the state?
On a serious note, I think a lot of guys want to get out of Chicago because of the violence sometimes that usually pushes guys away and maybe want to just try something different. The basketball part, we just haven't had really great programs. I mean, DePaul is an inner city school, was good at one point, but it was so long ago where they were, I think you remember Q Richardson and Bobby Simmons and all those guys on the same team. I think they made a little run, maybe to the Sweet 16. Illinois is a different animal. I thought about going to Illinois. It was probably my second school to go to Illinois. But Illinois has had different phases. They had the phase with Nick Anderson, Kenny Battle, Kendall Gill were really, really good. Then they had a break where they wasn't good. And then D. Brown and Darren Williams and Luther Head, those guys brought them back like I think 05, 04, 05. But it hasn't been a consistent talent pool there. And I think they've done a terrible job of hiring in-state coaches, guys that know the guys that has a familiarity with the high school coaches, with the AAU programs. They just haven't done a good job. That's why I think a lot of guys really leave.
So you chose Kentucky. Was that one of the factors for you? And what were your top 3 schools? And I know at the time it was Rick Pitino. He was the coach. Is that a big part of just going to, I guess, UK in their tradition a little bit, or was it the coach as well?
No, for me it was an honest recruiting process. I really thought about staying at home. My high school coach went to DePaul, so he was obviously wanting me to go to DePaul, and Illinois was one of the schools. Obviously, I had been following and stuff, and they're covered really heavy in Chicago, the University of Illinois. But I went to Kentucky. I mean, their style of play was so fit my style. Jamal Mashburn, I'm sure you guys know Mashburn. Mashburn was there, and he was one of my favorite players in college. And he was one of the few. He was considered like a big man, but he was like 6'7", 6'8". He could dribble, he could shoot, he could take it off. So I kind of was like, man, I could fit right in and play that style. So when I chose Kentucky, that was really based off the style of play, and Mashburn, my favorite player. And when I got there, Coach Pitino gave me Mashburn's number. He told me he was going pro. I have an opportunity to come in and play right away. So that was really the main reason I picked Kentucky. It just fit my style.
So before then, when did you think about, say you having an opportunity to go pro? And Kentucky, they stay with a shitload of talent and pro players. And so I can imagine when you get there, the practices had to be off the chain.
Oh, yeah, but they were crazy. It's weird, and I know you probably went through this too, Pose. When I came out of high school, it was about going to college. I think Garnett had came out the year before me, but he was I think he may have been one of the first guys to come out of high school. So it was not thought about. So when I came in, it was all about going to college, and you actually thought about getting a degree and playing 4 years. Your mindset was so different when I went to college. So I never really thought about pro. You always thought in the back of your mind, man, I could be a pro one day. But after the 5-5, everybody wanted to go to college. You know what I'm saying? After watching them boys play, we all wanted to go to school. So when I went there, obviously Kentucky, we had a ton of talent. My first year was obviously very difficult trying to adjust. It wasn't, I thought college was totally different than what it was. So it took me a while to adjust. So it took me almost to the end of the season before I hit my stride. But then that second year, when you talk about the practice, man, we were loaded. Off our 95, 96 team, we had 10 pros, 10 guys to make it to the NBA. And to be honest, our practices were better than our games. And that's not being cocky or but that's just, it's the truth. We won by a margin of like, I think 24, 25 points a night. It was one of those crazy situations. Every day we going at it. Guys were fighting for playing time, trying to get in the good graces of coach. I mean, and the thing about it, he was bringing them in left and right.
Right.
It wasn't like you had time to wait. You had to get better, or the train gonna keep going. So, and it was one of those things that it was difficult. I enjoyed college so much, and a lot of people don't know. It took me to the last minute after my sophomore year to put my name in the draft because I was so excited about the next year. We won it. We was gonna win it again.
Right.
And the crazy part, even without me, they went to the championship game and lost to Arizona. And then won it again in '98. That's how good the talent was there. So a lot of people don't understand that. So I wanted to be a part of it. It was fun. College was fun. But obviously, for injury purposes, Coach Pitino told me I got to go. You can't take that chance of passing up an opportunity or getting drafted in the first round. So it was just one of those things. But, man, we had some talent. And the crazy part about it, we all bought into it. And I think that's why we all ended up getting drafted.
So now you talk about the landscape of when you was there. I know you still follow Kentucky basketball. Now, you got John Calipari down there. So what do you think about his recruiting I don't get some tactics, but the recruits that he get down there, and then just the landscape from where you came from to now, are they winning enough, or what you feel? How you feel about that?
That's a great question. I love what he's doing. I think when you're able to get 4 or 5 McDonald's All-Americans, top 20 players to come to a school and get them to buy in, I got to see this on the first hand for the last 4 out of 5 years. I've worked in the SEC network, so I was actually getting to see how he really operates and kind of seeing it on a day-to-day basis. And it's magical the way he gets the kids to buy in and play. Now, me being an ex-player going to Kentucky and everything, of course, we feel like he's failed a few times. Obviously, we want to win championships. He's had some really, really good teams. Obviously, college basketball is totally different. But his success rate and the runs he makes in the tournament, you got to respect. But I think he should have 2 or 3 more titles. I look at that team that was 38-0. They lost in the Final Four to Wisconsin. They should have never lost that one. And then a couple years back, I thought they should have won it again. And I know it's tough to do that when you're bringing in fresh, young guys. But I like what he's done. I mean, I'm a Pitino guy, but I do have to admit that Coach Calipari has been nothing but great to me. I'm not sure how he treats every ex-player that plays there. It's tough. You got to think about it, Pose. A lot of people don't know this. He's got like 40 pros, all from the University of Kentucky, in like a 10-year span.
Right.
So he's built a new team. He's built a new culture there. It's just different now. It's a one-and-done school for the most part. He's had a high success rate in turning guys to pros. And a lot of his guys are the top 50 guys in the league. That that are producing at a very, very high level. So it's weird when we go down there, especially older guys, and you go in the gym, and it's all players that's in the league. You're like, man, none of the old guys, the guys that left, in the late 90s, mid 90s, early, we're not the focal point no more of the selling point to the school. But for me, he's done a terrific job of still keeping me a part of the program, and he tries his best, but it's hard. I feel for him sometimes because he has so many great players of his own. Mm-hmm. And you probably don't know, him and Coach Pitino don't see eye to eye. That's like people don't understand, that's a real dislike. Like they beefing for real. So, but I like what he's doing. I mean, I do think it should be a couple more titles in there because of the talent that he's had. I think they scored a couple opportunities. So I don't know if he never get another one, but he continues to get the talent. So he'll be in the mix every year.
Now, Twan, you talk about talent. You were part of the infamous 1996 draft class. Everyone brings up the 03 class and the 84 class. Where do you put your draft class and why?
Oh, I'll put us number 1. I think when top to bottom from 1 to 60, I think a lot of people look at, a lot of them draft classes are top heavy. I think with us, you're talking about impactful players that have at one point or another been either the number 1 guy or the second guy on their team. You got to look at the 96 class. I mean, yeah, Iverson, Marbury, myself, Camby, when he went to Toronto, they built around him. You had Kerry Kittles, Steve Nash, Kobe Bryant, Lorenzo Wright. God, rest in peace. Lorenzo was in our class. Sharif Abdul-Rahim went to Vancouver, started that organization. I mean, when you look at it from top to bottom, I'm just talking about from 1 to 60. And I don't give y'all the names here, but you get in that second round, we got guys that were impactful players. Don't get me wrong, I know about 03 Brown, but they top heavy. A lot of those teams are top heavy as far as, they first 10, 15 guys, but the whole draft, I draft the best. Okay. And we all impactful. Everybody played extra role. Oh, I'm sorry, and Ray Allen. I forgot about Ray Allen. We loaded, man.
Right.
We loaded from top to bottom.
So you go so we talked about Pitino and Calipari, right? So you talk about their coaching style for college, and then you had a little bit of Pitino in the NBA. He tried to bring that same Kentucky style to the NBA. What did you think about that? Was it possible? Because he was trying to get the guys that actually played in this system. If you think about that team that could actually, get in there and press, pick up, and play helter-skelter a little bit too. How did you feel about him making that jump, and what did you think, experiencing that yourself?
I thought it was going to be hard to get guys to press at the pro level, to get them to commit to pressing 24/7. They wasn't going to do that, and it was tough. He did try to bring in personnel that knew how to do it and that could do it, and it just didn't work out. The real reason I think with Coach Pitino the problem is his impatience. He came from a situation where he won 75% of the games to 80%. He was going to be in the mix. He was going to have a chance to win a national title. And then you come to the Celtics and you got to rebuild. We were in the rebuilding stage. We had just come off 15 wins. My first year, we was 15 to 67. So when you're taking over a team and organization 15 to 67, with the demands that people know this, Pose, you played in Boston. People in Boston want to win. They're African basketball fans. Right. They want to win. That's what they care about. So it was a lot of pressure. And he took both jobs, which I think is very hard for anybody to do. He was the GM and the head coach. So he had both titles. And to be honest, it was like a revolving door. Besides Paul Pierce, it was a revolving door. He drafted Ron and he drafted Chauncey. I played with Chauncey for 41 games. How you trade Chauncey in his rookie year? Right. You know what I mean? That probably was the first mistake he made. And trading Chauncey Billups, you draft him 3. Nobody trades their third pick halfway through the season, but he did that. And he continually, I probably played with 50 ball players in 2.5 years. You know you can't do that in the league. You got to try to develop some guys. I mean, he's helped guys, but, think about it. I remember Bruce Bourne came through there. Bruce Bourne was with me in 99. And the pressing style got his visibility up. People saw how great of a defender he was in the league. Adrian Griffin was another guy that he kind of discovered, that played in the league. Our boy Damon Jones got in the league because he could shoot the 3. And we played that type of style. So it's different guys that he actually helped their career, but his impatience was the reason why he was not successful. Boston demanded that, they was looking for a turnaround. We had early draft picks. We had money. The situation was sweet, and he didn't take advantage of it. So you mentioned Paul Pierce. Now, how did y'all relationship form then, and what was it like playing with him? Y'all were both, dominant and the man at y'all positions, but for y'all to be that impact of a duo, explain how that was like during the season. Y'all was pretty much tag teaming. You know what I'm saying? Like putting in that work. Well, Paul was good. See, Paul came in with a chip on the shoulder. So a lot of people don't know that. He was pissed that he fell to 10 in the draft. He's supposed to have been like the top 3 pick. I'm not sure who went in front of him. But he came in with a chip on his shoulder. And that's what was great. He wanted to prove to everybody how good he was and how he should have been taken even higher in the draft. And then when he came in, after that first year, man, I just started to see an ability to score the basketball from a lot of different ways, from his footwork, his mid-range game. So I was just like, man, this dude's going to be really, really good. And, we just built a relationship, not just on the court, off the court. We started hanging together, started to feel good around each other. And that's how we was able to have such good chemistry. I was able to challenge him every day if I had to, and him not get upset. He could say the same thing to me. And I think by us being able to go verbally at each other and put each other under pressure to play well allowed us to become one, better friends and better teammates. And, you know, we was able to get the team at least back to respectability and also get back into the playoffs. That was our goal. And we was able to do that. And we worked our way there. And then you guys came in and took my title, man. Built it up, and y'all come took my title. It's all right, though.
Now, Twan, you were with Adidas back in the mid to late 90s with Kobe and Tracy McGrady, amongst other guys. How did the whole Employee Number 8 campaign come about?
It was actually kind of weird. I did sign with Adidas coming out when I came in. So I was a Sonny Vaccaro guy. I don't know if you guys remember Sonny. Yep. So Sonny was, at that time, Sonny was the head guy at Adidas as far as signing athletes. And I was with Sonny when I was in high school. So he offered me a contract coming in. And Employee Number 8 just came out very random. So I wanted to be number 24. And if you know the Celtics tradition, every number's retired. Just ask Pose. Right. Yeah. So every number's in the rafters. So it's very hard to get your number. So the night of the draft, you know how it is, Pose. I'm on cloud nine. I'm happy. They asked me what number I want for the press conference. I'm like, man, give me 8, I guess. Because they're going through the numbers. So it's just like, I'm serious. It's like a random, just give me 8. I'm cool. Right. Give me something. Give me something. Let's give me 8. And when I did it, so I really, and then the Employee Number 8 campaign came from really Adidas. Jim Gatto, who was the head of Adidas basketball right there, he basically came up with the whole slogan. Kind of used that number 8 and the new kids on the block. You know, because what's them boys' name? New Kids on the Block. Oh, the singer group. Yeah, they're from Boston. So it was just like a whole little gimmick they put together, but it never came from me. It came from Adidas. I give them a lot of credit. They put a campaign together, and then myself, Kobe, Tim Thomas, and Tracy McGrady would do a part of our contracts that we go overseas and go on these European trips for 3 weeks out of the summer. And that's how it was. It was called really Adidas International. And they built this campaign to go over there and travel with and open up stores and, you know, autograph signings, basketball camps. So it was a combination of things, but it came strictly from Adidas, and it was very random. It was nothing behind it. I wish I had a great story behind it, but it was just random.
Got you. Now, how did you get the NBA Live cover? Because that was actually the first NBA Live I ever bought with my own money, so I'm very curious. How did you get that NBA Live cover? Because usually covers go to guys that have been in the league for a minute, guys that have been established, you know, a decade long, whatever it might be. But you got the cover. I believe it's like your second or third year in the league when that came out. How did that come about?
It's weird because 98, me and Kobe were the only 2 guys to make the All-Star team on the 98 class. And I think that's where it came from. Allen Iverson obviously was the man in our class as far as, you know, jumping out and having early success. But I was right behind him as far as that. And that was the luxury of playing in Boston, I think, too. Being in a big basketball city where sports was important. And that's what I came up with. And my agent called me with it and was like, you know, they want you to be on the cover of the video game. And I hadn't really gotten into video games yet. So I was like, cool. And the crazy part about it, they finna make millions of it. And it was not really a big paying thing. I think I got like 50 grand, but you got like 50 grand. But the thing about it, you're going to be on probably hundreds of millions of covers. So it's like, you finna blow up. You finna be in that many households. And I flew to Vancouver and put that bodysuit on and did all the moves for the game. And, you know, that was cool. That was a great experience. And sitting there and watching them and see how they make a video game. But I think it really, really came because I was one of the first guys to make an All-Star team on that 96 class. It was me and Kobe that played in that game.
So after Boston, you had a couple teams, you know, here and there. But being part of that biggest trade that landed us in Miami, you know that, did you know in advance that was a possible stop? I mean, I'm sure they probably wanted you more so than me at the time. I'll just put it there, you know, as far as whatever. But did you know anything about that at that point in your career, that Miami was a possibility?
No, it was Miami came in super late, and you know, I suppose it's different times that you want to be a free agent, and I just was a free agent at the bad summer, where a lot of teams didn't have any cap space. So July 1 hit, and you know, I'm getting phone calls for the mid-level. You know, 7, 8 teams called me for mid-level, and I felt like I was worth more than the mid-level, and I just was holding out. At this time, I had just switched over to Mark Bartelstein, which he was representing you too at the time. When I switched over to Mark Bartelstein, and I was just like waiting. I'm like, man, we got to figure it out. And we couldn't get Boston to do a sign and trade. So Boston didn't want to take any money back on. So it's making it really difficult for me to have a place. And then we just called the Heat. And then Pat Riley and Mark figured out a way. And this is the crazy part. So Pat Riley calls me and was like, listen, I need you to call Shaq and to ask Shaq to take less money so we can get you in.
Wow.
So it wasn't really about taking less money. Shaq was grandfathered into the old rules where, remember, we didn't see $30 million a year. Shaq could have made Michael Jordan money.
Mm-hmm.
So Shaq could have said like 3 years, $100 million, which would have been like $33 million a year. That's what the Heat was about to pay him, something like that. Right. So instead of doing that, Shaq took 5 years, 100 million, and made it 20 million a year. So that saved a ton of money on the cap. Right. And then the crazy part, Mark was like, you need to call the Celtics ownership group and tell them to do a sign. I'm like, why do I gotta call them? So I just called the ownership group and like, listen, you know, I know me and Danny don't see the eye to eye. He's not interested in helping me, but I did too much for the organization. You guys got to do something for me. And they agreed to. They said, we're going to make Danny trade, do a sign and trade. And then all of a sudden, all these bodies got thrown in, Pose. It was so many people there, dudes we never heard about, guys that made $500,000. They were trying to get the money right. Like, it was just crazy.
Right.
And I think to the day, that's still the biggest trade in NBA history.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, it might be, but that's how that ended up happening. So that was the only way I can get to Miami, and where they could pay me, you know, some money. They didn't have any money at the time, and they had to pay Shaq, and he was obviously going to pay Shaq first.
No, most definitely got to pay big fella that.
Yeah.
So we get to Miami, right? And like I said, I'm excited because one, I knew, you know, the year before, you know what I'm saying, like they were right there. And so when they made the trade, it's like they want us to come there to basically finish the deal, you know what I'm saying, to bring a chip. And so I was excited and nervous at the same time. Do you remember the day of our press conference?
What moment?
I mean, of course, we was there, right? We had the press conference. And afterwards, me and you, we go eat, you know what I'm saying, we in Miami or whatever. And then, you know, Miami nightlife, we go. Right. So we sit there at the bar, we chopping it up, chilling and drinking. And then we like, yo, man, like, we couldn't believe we was in Miami. You know what I'm saying? We was already thinking about the championship and everything. And then something hit us. Because once they told us, hey, you're going to have body fat and weight. Man, listen, it was mid-drink. And we was like, yo, we need to put this shit down. We need to put this drink down because it's about to be real. And we just started crying, laughing, whatever, too. But hey, we was dreading that body fat and weight stuff like that. But you know, so we made it happen, though.
The crazy part, dude, you was already skinny a little. That's the thing about it. You was already. I'm like, how the hell he got body fat and weight? But no, that was crazy. I always tell people don't understand the culture in Miami. That's why even right now, watching them in the playoffs, people like surprised. I'm like, nah. I'm like, Sposel is a scientist. And you know, he don't get a lot of credit for what he did, what he was able to do with LeBron. I wasn't in that locker room, but I know Spo, and I know he played a big part in the boys winning those couple championships and getting to those finals. But and I'm just watching them now, so people don't know how good he is. But it was crazy because the Heat culture is totally different, and you know that. And we had to learn it. And people don't understand how much, I would say, everything. That year was so crazy how we had to adjust in the NBA to that body fat and weight, adjust to practice.
Yep.
You know, we had 2 coaches. We had Stan at first. People don't realize we had Stan at first. Then we had to deal with Rouse when he came down.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I really just think us continually to have fun off the court saved us.
Yeah.
I you know what I mean? It kept us sane. You know what I mean? But the thing about it, like you said at press conference, we knew the one thing we knew we was gonna win a championship. We didn't know how it was gonna get done.
Right.
But we knew once we got in the playoffs, wasn't nobody in the East gonna beat us in the 7-game series.
Right.
We knew Detroit was gonna give us a little run for our money. But besides that, we knew we was gonna get to the championship. That wasn't the case and win it. So I just think our confidence was so high, no matter what happened throughout the season, if we stayed healthy, we was gonna win it all.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about we had Stan first and then Rousey came down. And I remember we wasn't playing our best basketball early. And I remember Zoe, he was like, man, listen, y'all don't want that man upstairs to come down here. Hell.
I remember that.
It was one of those things where, coming there, and even though he was upstairs, it was about winning and his experience of winning, championships, with the Lakers and everything. So coming there, and once he came down as a coach, it was like, oh, shit, everybody tighten up a little bit too. But
right.
At the end of the day, it was, like you said, we was able to be us, and we probably did it the unconventional, traditional way of being, you say, the good way.
Yeah.
We party, we practice, we play hard, you know what I'm saying? So we managed the season out, and then we get to the playoffs. And, honestly, that was my first rodeo as far as, being on the winning team and really having an opportunity. So I can't honestly say I knew when we were going to win it, but I knew we had a great chance. So for you, what point of the season did you know, hey, we going to win this?
I think when Coach came down and kind of changed things up, I don't know if you remember, but I remember when I first came in and Stan had a long talk with me and was like, look, we got UD here. UD's been like a heart and soul for us at the power forward spot. He was like, look, I just need you to come off the bench. I'm going to run everything for Shaq and D-Wade, and I ain't going to, you just go with the second unit. And I'm like, okay, cool. Whatever the sacrifice was, I just knew from that point, not just me, that was like the start when everybody kind of accepted their roles. So we was like, we're going to let Shaq and D-Wade be D-Wade and Shaq, and then we're going to do our part to to help them out. But I would say for me, when I really started feeling like we can win it all is when Rouse came down and started giving everybody roles.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? When he started putting everybody in their roles, and once we started getting that continuity, we knew I was going to start the game. 6 minutes of the game, I knew you was coming to sub me out. Then I was going to come back for UD. We all kind of knew what we had to do every night. Mm-hmm. And then it just kind of dawned on me. I just knew it was going to be hard, but I just knew once that point, I said, man, we can win it all. We just stay healthy. I just started looking at the teams and started seeing how we match up. I was only worried about Detroit.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was only worried about Detroit. So that was in my mind. I was only worried about Detroit. If we get past them, I know we got a chance to win it.
Now, I have a question for both of y'all, since you guys are on the same team, obviously. And we'll start with Twan first. You guys go down 0-2 versus Dallas in the finals. What's the mindset? Because usually going down 0-2 in the finals, we usually know how that works out. But you guys obviously came back, won that series, winning 4 straight. What was the mindset there?
For me, it's obviously my first finals, so I was nervous. But I kind of, be honest, I kind of followed Shaq lead and, kind of asked him and just kind of see what his confidence level was. And then I don't know about Pose, but Pat Riley, I think this is where he was great at. He never wavered. His confidence never wavered. He always believed that we was going to win. And that was important coming from the top. To have the head coach always instilling that we was going to win it. And I think but I was a little nervous, but I was confident because we was going home. And I knew we could run the table at home. We got a chance. But it was really from the guys that been there. I would say Shaq and Pat Riley is the ones that kind of helped me maintain confidence.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, Shaq, you know, he just kept, you know, encouraging everybody, you know what I'm saying, and just being that support system as, you know, being a player, just being that support. And that was big for me. Like I said, that was my first rodeo as well. And I'm like, damn, we down 0-2. And then, like you said, the icing on the cake is Rouse. You know, he never wavered. He was so calm, cool about everything, you know, just about everything. And so that sort of gave us, you know, we had confidence, but extra confidence, like, yo, it's still nothing to worry about. All he kept preaching was just get the next game. Man, we got that next game, and shit, we start feeling ourselves. And once we tied it 2-2, shit, we got our swagger back and everything. You know, we start feeling good. And like I said, Shaq, he did his thing. D-Wade, he did his thing. And then for us, everybody else, we had our moments during that series as well. And then on top of that, when Dallas, they was already talking about they about to sweep us. They playing the parades and everything. Shit, I took that real personal. Like, y'all just don't disrespect us like that. But you still got to play these games. I was hot about that, and I think everybody else too. I think they was hot about it because before we left Dallas, listen, that was already in the paper, man. I'm like, yo, y'all got some brass wants to put some shit like that in the paper. You know what I'm saying? So I was hot about that. So of course, you know, just trying to win that next game, and we did.
Now, also being in one of the best party cities in the world, y'all come back down 0-2. Y'all come back to Miami. What was the after party like after winning that ring? Obviously, you know, Miami is Miami outside of Vegas, maybe LA, maybe New York. Miami, I think it's Miami's number one. But what was the after party like?
We actually, because we won it in Dallas, so if I recall, we tried to party in Dallas for a little bit. And then it was too boring. Coach was like, man, let's get on this plane and get up out of here. Well, so we ended up leaving. What time we left? Like 5 in the morning, Paul?
Yeah, because we came back to the hotel. We partied there. Remember Rouse was dancing?
Oh, yeah. Then we stayed there. We stayed at the hotel. And then we came back. Coach was like, man, let's get up out of here. We ended up leaving and getting to Miami like 8 in the morning.
Yep.
And that night we went to the strip club, baby. We went to Diamonds. I'll never forget. We went to Diamonds. That's where we had our celebration party at the strip club. Some undisclosed things happened in there, baby. We had a ball. We had a ball.
Office, baby, the office. We had a meeting at the office.
We had a meeting at the office, man. But you know, Miami, don't be honest, man. You know, people don't know. Like Paul said, we partied and played like never before. At least me and Pose and a few of us did. So we enjoyed ourselves. It doesn't like Miami. I always tell people, I feel like we put Miami on the map. I don't think, you know what I mean? I really believe that. Not saying Miami was not known for partying, but we took that thing to another level. They had never seen ball players out as much as they saw us out. we put Miami on the map, I believe. But that year was fun. That championship day, that Diamonds that night was incredible. We had the whole team out.
We had the whole team, yeah. And it was crazy because, I mean, we had that party then everybody, like, of course, every club there we had a party in. And then at off season, everybody else, we tried to party in everybody's city. You know what I'm saying? We came to Chicago, we came to town, we threw a party. So we tried to just show everybody, like, respect by going back to where they was living at and throwing a little party. And then we all went out to Vegas. You know what I'm saying? And there was like that camaraderie there. Like we was just party and we was living it up, man. So that was fun, man. That was fun. Hey, Boogie. So we talked about that. So I think it was the following year. When was Super Bowl down there?
The following year.
The following year, right?
Yeah.
So listen, we still feeling real good. We still doing everything from the year before, whatever. Hey, Super Bowl was down there. We go partying. You remember that?
Yes, sir.
And that's really, you know, that's football season. You know what I'm saying? It's their time, you know, time to shine. We out in the club and everything. And Buggy like, hey, man, they can't come down here and party. Shit, we the champ. They can't come down here and party like that. I know it's their weekend. Man, we in the club. We matching bottles with bottles. Like, yo, they buy 5 bottles. We buy 10 bottles. We like, yo, we out all night just clowning. We was like, yo, we still living it up. Y'all can't shine on us like that, even though it's y'all weekend. But we had a good time, no. But then
that was you though that night. No, that was you. More
wow.
You know, and I'm gonna tell you what football player it was. I'll tell you, it was Sean Merriman. It was Sean Merriman. And Pose got into this personal thing with him, man. Pose, it was you.
Man, I ain't do nothing.
Hey, do you remember how much our bill was that night?
Yeah, we can't let them know what our bill was, but yeah.
And it was me and you only, and some girls, man. That's crazy, bro.
Yeah. There was a lot of alcohol being drank then, but whew. We had a good time. We had a good time.
Yeah, we had a good time. Yeah, you went out there with them boys, bottled water. I remember that.
Yeah, that bottled water.
We put them to sleep, man. we bought so many bottles. The club was like, look, we just gonna leave this stuff here for y'all. They was like, look, y'all can take some of it home and then y'all can leave this in the car, man. They was like, we bought too many bottles. I tell people that story all the time. People don't believe that bottled water story that we had with them boys.
Yeah.
With the football guys.
It was a friendly competition, I'll say.
It was. Privé. I remember the club, too.
Oh, Privé, yeah.
That was Privé. It was at Privé. I remember the club.
It sure was. So now with this landscape of how the league has changed, what players are you impressed with now, and what players sort of, resemble yourself? Because like I said, you was already doing things at that fourth position as far as handling the ball, shooting the tray ball. So what players are you impressed with now?
A couple guys. I mean, obviously LeBron James is still, I'm still impressed with him. He's still able to play at the level he's in. I do like Giannis a lot. I do believe he got a lot of improvement to do on his offensive game, but I really like his versatility. Believe it or not, I like Draymond Green. I like his skill set. His ability to handle, make plays. He's the one guy I like. My favorite player would probably be Westbrook, just because the energy and effort he brings to the game. I really, really like. And sometimes, and now it's like, shit, I wish I played in this era. I mean, I remember, me shooting 7, 8 threes a game and getting criticized for it. I mean, and now it's the norm. You see so many guys now that shooting the three ball. So I enjoy the game because obviously I like the three ball to it. It's different. It's a pick and roll game. You got to be able to pick it. It's a point guard's league. You got to be skilled now to play in this league. It's not really, you do still got role players, but those guys can get swallowed up easily if you can't do one thing really good. You know what I mean? It's not the same anymore. But I still enjoy very much so watching the league. And I do like some of the guys, skill sets and versatility. All the bigs now shooting threes, pretty much every center. So not really, you watch Joker, you watch Jokic right now and those guys now. I mean, the versatility is good to see.
So, of course, I'm going to ask, who you got winning the series between this Boston-Miami?
It's a tough series. I think it's going to go 7 games, but I like the Heat just because of their veterans. I think Jimmy, Jay Crowder, Andre Iguodala going to make the right play late. And that's not – and it kind of showed in game 1. If you really look at Tatum's shot compared to Jimmy Butler's getting to the basket, getting fouled. And not to say that, Tatum can't do that, but, just being in the moments knowing that you got to get to the bucket, get fouled, you know what I mean, make that possession count. He'll learn that. The guys that get to that point where they'll get that. I just think – but even though Miami has a lot of young pieces, I just think their veteran pieces is going to come through for them. But I do believe it's going 7 games. Yeah, a real evenly matched series.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I mean, it's tough, you know what I'm saying? Just like I said, as far as winning the chip at both of them. But like you said earlier, I don't think a lot of people give Spo credit. And then, like I said, just the culture in Miami itself, like it hasn't changed. Like it's still the same thing. So you're gonna be tough, you're gonna play hard, and you're gonna compete every night to give yourself that chance to win. And so, and you might not be the most skilled player on that Heat team, but it just works for y'all because y'all gonna do it. Y'all gonna grind it out. Now we look at the Boston team, like they have better skilled players, guys that can go get their shot at thing. And if you get, on the island with them ISO 101, then, they can score the ball. So if they got to have a better balance of just actually still moving the ball from side to side and not just getting caught in those ISO situations. And if they do that, they have a chance. But if they don't, like I said, I do believe it's going 7, but then, we'll see from there.
I'm just taking the veteran leadership, and I do think, I didn't mention that, like you said, it could come down to a coaching, making an adjustment, making certain moves to win that game. I like the Heat. I give the Heat the advantage in that moment. And the last thing I say about the series, I just believe that this is Kemba Walker first rodeo. And it's, when it's your first rodeo, it's your first time there. And you could tell he was never out the first round of the playoffs because he's been kind of inconsistent throughout the playoffs. And I just think because it's his first rodeo, he'll get better and better. But, when you get there and you ain't never been there, he don't understand that they give you $30 million for you to be Kemba.
Right.
You may have to wave them young fellas off, a little bit and get it done. So I just think sometimes you can have a little too much firepower. And they where Miami, okay, we know Jimmy finna make this play.
Right.
Everybody be ready to shoot. It's kind of like we played. We knew D-Wade, be ready. You know how D-Wade hit you late. D-Wade be in the air, it just hits you late. You got to be ready to shoot it. You know what I'm saying? You got to have that mentality. And I just think those little things like that, and it seems very small, but it's big in the schemes of winning games.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Antoine, obviously you're one of the original stretch fours when they start coining the term. What part of your game do you feel that didn't get enough appreciation? Because you did a little bit of everything. You shot the rock, you handled the ball, you was able to score, rebound. What part of your game do you feel didn't get enough appreciation?
I thought I was a willing passer. I thought I was I think people really kind of downplayed the fact that I could really pass the basketball. And it came with different teams. I think obviously with Boston, I handled the basketball a lot. I think probably my best year as a pro where I felt like I was like my whole full skill set was at display was in Dallas, where, Don Nelson was really the only coach I think that ever knew how to use my game really well. So I would say Dallas. But I would say my passing ability went untalked about for me, and which I felt like I was one of the better passers, especially at my size.
Now, also, where did the shimmy come from? Because that's one of the best celebrations, either after and one, after a big shot, big defensive play. Where did that come from?
Hey, give us the shimmy, man. Let us see the shimmy, man. Let me see if we still got it. Give us the shimmy.
Boy, if you get a shimmy on a Sunday morning, you good, Pose. No, actually, I really started dancing in college. If you go back to some of my college film, I used to dance in college a lot. But that was just some internal thing that we had just having fun. Because, we had to press. So you really couldn't be dancing. You had to get back on top of that press. So it wasn't really a lot of time to really be celebrating. So Coach told me, look, I don't care what you do, as long as you get back in this press. But I just got it from in college, man, dancing with the guys, having fun. Then when I went pro, it just kind of like happened natural. I could control. Like you play the game with a lot of energy. We make a run. I get a bucket in the big time. It just come out naturally. And so once I get it, once Coach accepted it, I was cool. It was only one coach that Don Nelson was the only coach that asked me not to dance. There was only one coach that asked me not to dance. Don Nelson was like, hey, Walt, he said, Walt, I don't want you to do that dancing. It irritated him. But besides that, every coach let me do it. Even Rouse let me do it. Rouse didn't even say nothing to me.
Right.
So,
that's surprising.
But it just came
That's
from college.
surprising.
Yeah, I know. It just came from college, man. It was not, I used to just dance and have fun in college, and I just kept it going. It just became part of my game.
Earlier, you talked about, Chi-Town, the talent. You talked about some of the pro-am leagues down there, too. Once you got in the league, what was that summertime run like with other league guys? And also, what was those runs like with the guy, MJ? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jordan, what was those runs like?
Well, the summer basketball was incredible in Chicago. Like I said, in the prime of my career, probably from I got drafted from 96 to at least 06, 07, for like the first 10 years, we had 25, 30 pros in the league. So our run was was incredible on an everyday basis. But it went to another level in 2001 when Michael Jordan decided to come back. He changed it up. So obviously now you got to imagine you got 20 guys from Chicago that's playing. Then you got Penny Hardaway, Gilbert Arenas, LeBron James. You got everybody flying in town, staying a week, staying 2 weeks, training with MJ. And he changed the dynamics of the pose. You got to think about something. We had referees. He wanted to play with refs. So we had to play with real referees, pick up. The gym used to be so thick where I made this comment earlier, where you would actually live. You lose the first game, you may have to sit 2. And then so we had to really start having 2 courts, and then the winners meet and play on 1 court. So it was like it's just to get everybody a good workout and a run in, we had to start 2 courts. But you know how that go. Everybody want to be on the main court. Right. You know what I'm saying? The court playing against Michael. And the runs were incredible every day at 2 o'clock. So for me, it was great because obviously I had been kind of carrying the torch in Chicago as far as with guys who play ball in the summer league. And Mike called me in 2001. I just got eliminated from the playoffs. I think we had just lost to New Jersey in the playoffs. I came home, and you know how it is, supposed we finna take us a month off. Finna kick it, you know what I mean?
Right.
Mike called me. It's May still. He like, listen, I need you in the gym with me. I'm finna come back. You know, like I know shit. Michael Jordan tell you to get to the gym.
Yeah.
You at the gym.
You at the gym.
So he was like, man. So, and this summer, I had never, I was a basketball junkie, so I would play 4 or 5 days a week. I never was big on like lifting weights. So now the first thing I get with Mike, we with Tim Grove, we got to lift weights first. I'm like, oh, you know what I'm saying? We're like, man, we got to lift weights first, then we go shoot, and then we played every day at 2 o'clock. So this is like, I'm in the gym from 10 to 4.
Right.
We're in the gym from 10 to 4 every day. This ain't like, this is like, hey, you know, in the summer pose, we trying to get it in, get it out. But we 10 to 4 every day. So I didn't change my whole program up. I didn't get into lifting weights. I didn't get into, now we doing individual instruction, you know what I mean? But just to watch him, to be a part of that and watch how he, you know, got himself in great shape to get back to the level that he needed to be competitive was unbelievable to watch, especially at 39. I could just imagine how he was at you know, in the prime of his career. Right. He probably was. But yeah, them summers were great, and he took it to a whole nother level once he came. Because you got to think, he made other guys now start playing pickup ball and didn't really particularly play pickup ball in summer. You had these guys in the gym. And so from Monday through Thursday, he always wanted to give everybody the weekend off. So from Monday through Thursday, we're in the gym 10 to 4 every day, no matter what.
What's your best MJ story? Because I got one. You know our man Reg Brown. We had him on here too. And he told us one about you and MJ going back and forth. I know you got the gift of gab and MJ, you know what I'm saying? He talk his shit too. But any other MJ stories? Because he told me when I guess he hit game bucket on you or something like that, and then you was mad. You talk about, man, everybody's scared of you in here. Man, I can do this and I got this, whatever. What else you got? And he named some type of car. I don't know. He's like something like that. So that's the one.
Yeah. We had some epic battles on the court. My best Michael Jordan story. So many of them. It probably was when we won it, Bo, and I did 06. One thing he used to always tell me, you never won nothing. You don't know how to be a winner. Ooh. He always started in my face, you never won. You'll never be a winner. You don't know what it is. You ain't no champion. So he would always drill that in my head. Right. So 06, he was actually not playing then, but we still hanging we are hanging out on a daily basis. So the day I won that championship was the day that it was that day when I got a chance, when I seen him when I came home in the summer, it was probably the best day of my life when I got an opportunity. Like, now who the champion now? And I was able to, you know, be in the elite category.
Right.
That probably was the moments, man. But Red's not lying. We had some epic days. We could never play on the same team. We always started off, he picked his team, I picked my team. And that's how it was every day. and we challenged each other every single day. Every single day we challenge each other who's going to be the best, and that's what pushes. But I got epic stories with him. You know, my funnest memories with Mike will always be off the court, getting, you know, having the opportunity to be in his personal life, be at his home with his family. Those are moments I'll never forget, and to be in that space where a lot of people don't get a chance to be. So I got a chance to be around him on a consistent basis up until he bought the Charlotte Bobcats.
Got you.
Up until he bought that team. Once he bought the team, he left. You know, once he bought the team, you know, he left Chicago. Yeah, he was fully divorced. He had kind of moved on. But prior to that, from 01 to, I think, 07, 08 is when he bought the Charlotte Bobcats, the Charlotte Hornets.
Well, it was it was, it's fine.
Yeah, it's about that time. So I was with him for a long time.
That's cool. So, I mean, I know you're still involved with basketball as well, your different platforms as well. But also you have a book coming out. You want to tell us a little bit about your book? Yeah, I got a memoir coming out. I wanted to bring it out All-Star Weekend. It wasn't ready, and then the pandemic happened. So it changed how I was going to market it and how I was going to really push it and, you know, try to sell it and book signings and stuff like that. So I actually really just been caught in limbo over the last 6 months on what to do with it, on how to market it, because I'm self-publishing. So it's a little different business-wise. So just trying to make sure I make the right decisions. And I'm actually trying to wait it out with the pandemic. But I'm glad you gave me an opportunity to talk about it, because while we did pre-orders. So we had several hundred people, which I'm very appreciative of it, that actually pre-ordered my book. And obviously now we're getting 6 months in, they haven't received it. So now it's starting to take a little time, but people got to understand. I just been holding off trying to make sure that I do the right thing with it. But it's a memoir basically about my life, a learning tool for hopefully a lot of young guys, from the mistakes I made to obviously the good, bad, the ugly. Trying to be very open and transparent and sharing my life story. I think one thing as athletes that we always get, especially for me, people always think they know your story. And, you know, unfortunately with social media, the internet and stuff like that, you know, people can get a false sense of who you really are and not know who you really are. So it just gives me a chance to tell my side of the story. It's kind of like going to court. Now, you know, you got this certain image. Now I'm just giving you now I'm going to tell my side of the story. I'm going to tell my own personal journey. And it's good. I mean, it was fun to just sit down and talk and relive a lot of the stories and figure out what I want to put in there. And hopefully it's going to be a success. It's just a memoir, and try to just address my journey throughout. I wanted it to be, I didn't want it to be a long, boring book. I wanted it to be something, and I didn't want it to be a basic autobiography too. But I want to be some things that people probably just didn't know. Kind of even like when we're doing a podcast and we share these stories, people will probably never hear these stories unless we're in these type of settings. So it's going good though. I'm just waiting, man. I'm just trying to wait it out, but just for business purposes, just making sure it's nothing, you know, just making sure that I do the right thing business-wise. So I'm trying to, I don't know, I may have to just put it on ebook. You know, we don't know when we're going to get back. When we gonna get back functioning? Could never imagine that we'll be in the space that we're in right now through this pandemic. So eventually we're gonna make a decision. So where can we go? You know, I guess pre-order now. Give everybody this information. We did have it on www.goingtotheinstant.com. We took it down because I felt bad because I couldn't give a date when it's actually coming out. But we'll put it back up. But it's called Gone the Instant. Okay. So it's going to be on www.goingtotheinstant.com, and we had it up on that website. The website is still active, but we're not letting people pre-order no more. All right. We just stopped it. I got to give me a copy for sure. I'm going to buy a couple. Yeah, definitely. I'll let you know when it's ready. Definitely. And then we can, you know, really talk about it, because we can get into some other stories that people may not know about. Bet.
Definitely. Now, what would post-basketball career and now SEC Network, you're on Fox a lot, what advice would older Twan give younger Twan after looking back at everything?
Basketball-wise, I would say your career could be short. Everybody's not going to be fortunate enough to play 10, 12, 13 years. So make sure I would tell young guys, make sure you take advantage of this. That window to make a lot of money is very small. But I would tell them, just lock in, focus on, your craft to be the best possible player you can be. So you can obviously make the most money you possibly can make, because at 32, 33 years old, I was done playing. So you gotta keep those things in perspective. I think off the court and things that I think for most guys, it's generational wealth. Talk to young guys about having generational wealth, because we're blessed enough to make enough money to take care of not only ourselves, our kids and their kids. And at 18, 19, where most guys are coming into the league at, they don't understand that. They're not thinking about that one day this could possibly end. So I always try to embed in guys that, look, let's think about generational wealth. This lifestyle you're about to create right now and the way you live, you want to maintain that and continue to do it. You got to start thinking about generational wealth. And then also the last thing, and Pose can probably contest to this, I try to teach guys how to say no. And I'm not a guy that used to say no a lot, but it's something you got to get in your vocabulary. It's tough to do because you want to help so many people that have done things for you in your life, whether it's family and friends and those type of things. But you got to get the word no in your vocabulary if you want to be successful and continue to do what you love to do, play the game you love to play, and then make sure that you're personally taken care of, because you're the one running the suicides, running the sprints, and in the gym getting up to 1,000, 15, 2,000 shots a day. So you'll never want nobody to take away your joy.
Got you. Now also, there's like you mentioned, a lot of young players come into the league. They're basically getting generational wealth at a young age. If someone were to come, whether it's a guy in college about to come to the pros or a young NBA player, what advice would you give them? Or are you open to giving advice? Because some people don't really want to talk to younger players. They just want to be like, hey, figure out your own. Or would you give advice to younger guys that's coming up in similar situations that you were in?
Oh, without question. This year, I didn't think I told you, Pose. This year was the first year I turned the SEC down and got an opportunity to go back to the league and do the financial literacy for all 30 teams. We got to 26 of them before the pandemic happened, but it was the best thing I've ever done, and made me feel good to be back obviously in there with the guys on the players.
Right.
To be in there with the LeBron James, the James Hardens, the Chris Pauls, and to be in the meeting and to get those guys to have an open dialogue and to share my story with the current players that's in the league now, and to see them get something out of it, to have these type of conversations were unbelievable. It was the best, and everybody said this is the best financial education situation they've ever had. So I was very proud of that, to be a part of that. So it was something that I was shocked that I got an opportunity to do. But when the opportunity came, I turned the SEC down this year and did that this year. So we got to 26 out of 30 teams. I was with a company called Educor that brought me in. And then the Players Association, obviously, once they saw that I was involved, really stepped it. But it was great to be able to travel this year through the whole season and be a backup part. I mean, I probably went to every basketball game, because you got to go in the night before.
Right.
And then, you know what I'm saying? So I got a chance to be back in the arena, see old people that I haven't seen in years, and be back in the mix. And it was great. It was a very productive. I had a great time doing it. And we ended up not doing 4 teams. We supposed to get all 30 in, but we still got 4 more left. But hopefully it's something I'm going to continue to do, especially with the young guys coming in. So I'm always open to helping young guys.
That's good. I ain't gonna keep you much longer because I know you want to get to your Bears. But with all this, social injustice going on, any comments on that or anything going in the shot that you're a part of?
I'm watching. I'm very observant. I see a lot of guys. What I want us to do as a people, and is let's come up with 4 or 5 things. I got a lot of police officers that are my friends. I smoke a lot of cigars, so I'm around a lot of police officers that smoke cigars, and I wish we could come up with 4 or 5 things that we can actually go out and get changed. And I think that's with training. I think we have to train our officers better to help them understand what's going on in our community, because you're putting officers in the community, especially in Chicago, they can't handle hostile situations. If you look at a lot of these situations, they just can't handle hostile situations. On top of that, they could be racist. You know what I mean? So you got that in your head, and then they can't handle hostile situations where a lot of these things can be de-escalated without violence and without killing our young black men. So in Chicago, we have several activists. We don't have anybody strong that I really like, but I follow because, we have a lot of black on black crime here, which you know that, and it's a huge concern. But for the national platform, I just wish that we could come up with 5 things. I always tell guys, I wish let's think about 5 things that we can actually go and try to change in government. I like that the players made a stance, but I think we still made a stance without having a plan.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then, so let's have a plan. Let's have a plan. Let's not just do it to do it. Let's have a plan. It's not about wearing T-shirts. It's not about wearing, signing. It's about let's have 4 or 5 things and see if we actually can change some things. And if we do that, I'm with it. It's obviously disappointing and sad when you see it, and we constantly continue to see it. But it's going to continue to happen until we're able to change some of the things. We got to hold them accountable. If we do something wrong, we arrest it right away. Right. We don't get a grace period to go get fired, get our families together, get our money taken care of. We don't get that, and they're getting grace periods. That's something that we want to change. We need to see if they can get prosecuted like a normal person get prosecuted. Right. That'll probably stop some of these things. Take away their pensions. Take away, it's a lot of things that we could think of creative-wise that we're not doing. Protesting is great. It's important. It's the main reason that, you got to do that. But when you came up with 4 or 5 things to really hone in on, I wish we would do that and try to change it. That way we could feel good about this and start to see change.
Right. Perfect. At the end of the show, I have a segment called Free Game. Mm-hmm. What free game can you get to people out here that's going to see this and listen to this as well? It could be basketball. It could be anything you want, but it's free game for the people out here. For me, I think free game would be just the Antoine Walker story. I think you can, from a guy that's played the game and made a ton of money, that went through a bankruptcy, that's went through some trials and tribulations, you can always land on your feet and still and be successful and have a good life. I think we got so many athletes and, with entertainers, when they financially fall, they get lost in the world. And, we see it so many times with different guys. And I think, the free game is that you got to always stay positive, stay humble, keep God first, but also, treat people right. And when you treat people right, things usually tend to turn themselves around for you. And that's just that's kind of the creed I kind of live under. And anytime I'm around people, that's what I tell people. You know what I mean? Only the strong survive. That slogan, kind of sticks out in my head. So if there's one thing about it that you can get through anything, if you just stay positive, stay humble, keep God in front of you, and anything can be possible for you to get back on your feet. There you have a free game.
Right.
Hey, Boogie, listen, man, I appreciate you and I respect you as my friend.
Right.
And just a bond that we, what I'm saying, like over the years as well. If you look behind me, you know what that is, right? Yeah,
I like that.
Six back there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's nice there. I remember that poster.
Oh, yeah, you right here, bald head, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, man, much love to you, man. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you always, and I got to get back to that shot soon.
All right, bro. Let me know when you're in, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
I appreciate it.
All right.
Yo, this is James Posey. Thanks for checking out Posecast, brought to you by basketballnews.com. You can check out Posecast every Thursday on all your listening platforms.